Hi there, it's Tuesday the 14th of July 2020. We're continuing to look this week at how to find your path through life. How to find your path through life. And we're looking at the life of Ruth in the Bible to give us some clues as to how we can find our path through life. And the first lesson that we learn from her life is to be prepared for the unexpected. Ruth thought that she was going to have a life married to the son of a woman called Naomi in her home country of Moab. But her husband died, and Naomi was returning back home to her home country in Judah, and Ruth decided to go with her. Her life took a very unexpected turn, but she was open and prepared for the unexpected and willing to change. And that's the first lesson for us, because life never goes the way we expect it to go. Here's the second lesson for us in how to find our path through life, and that is don't let bitterness be your guide. Don't let bitterness be your guide. When Naomi returned back home to her home country of Judah, having lost her husband and her two sons, which was tragic for that poor woman, unfortunately she had allowed bitterness to come into her heart. And it says that Naomi and Ruth came to Bethlehem, and when they arrived the whole town was stirred because of them, and the women exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" Because of course they weren't expecting her to have returned. They were expecting her to have had a great life in that new country of Moab with her husband and her two sons and her two daughter-in-laws. And here she is coming home without her son, without her husband, without her two sons, and without one of her daughters-in-law who stayed in Moab. "Don't call me Naomi," she told them. And Naomi means pleasant in the Hebrew language. But she says, "Call me Mara." And Mara means bitter in Hebrew. Call me Mara because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Lord has brought misfortune upon me. We can feel for Naomi. We can sympathise with her grief and her sense of loss. But bitterness is an evil thing that can take hold of people's lives. It can take hold of our hearts if we allow it to. Mourning and grieving is right and proper. In fact, Ecclesiastes in the Bible says that there is a time for mourning. But bitterness is something which can attach itself to grief or mourning. Bitterness can attach itself to anger and to hatred, and it can become something that is like a cancer within our hearts, that can cloud our minds, that can make us think very dark thoughts. And poor Naomi was allowing bitterness to be her guide through life. It was as though bitterness was working with her, and it sidelined her. It brought her into a cul-de-sac in her life. It made Naomi think that her life was ended, that there was no more journey to be had. For her, her life was over. And sometimes things can happen to us in our lives that are so awful and so traumatic, we think, do you know what? That's it. My life is over. My life is ended. My life is now stuck in a cul-de-sac. You talk about a journey. There is no journey for me any longer. This is my journey, sitting here in my chair, lying here in my bed. That's my journey. And it's so easy for us to become bitter. And to turn that bitterness not just upon those that we feel have offended us or caused our life to be sidelined, not just to the circumstances of life, but we can also become bitter to God, as Naomi had allowed herself to be. She blamed God for her husband dying, for her children dying, for her daughter-in-law returning home, blamed God for her circumstances, and was so upset with God, bitter with God. And so many people, unfortunately, in life have become bitter with God, and again allowed that bitterness to stop their relationship with God, to stop their journey through life. So friends, if you want to find your path through life, first of all, you have to be prepared for the unexpected twists and turns, embrace the change, go with it when there is the opportunity to go with it. But secondly, don't let bitterness be your guide. Don't let bitterness stay with you, because bitterness will only lead you into a cul-de-sac and into death. Let go of that bitterness, as Naomi did in the rest of the story which we're going to look at. She let go of that bitterness. She didn't allow bitterness to stay. Don't allow it to stay. Trust in God. God is with you. Let God be your guide as you journey through life. Speak to you again tomorrow.